She-Hulk is the worst show ever made. Rings of Power is utter garbage. So Wakanda Forever was a disappointment. Obi-Wan Kenobi can eat my doo-doo. Wow. It's been a wild year if you want to poop on bad movies and TV shows. But rest assured, just because Cynic is in the name doesn't necessarily mean hating everything is the game. I've seen a lot of quality films this year, and there's still so much to do before the end of 2022, so I'm going to give you a rundown of 3 particular films I suggest you check out. These reviews will be quicker than the hand of a 1950s husband when his wife overcooked the salmon, but that's because most high-quality films you should go into with as little info as possible to enjoy them at their fullest. All 3 of these movies have some sort of social commentary, but not the battering ram that typical Disney-level blockbusters are doing it. The issues touched on are generally universal, things most everybody experiences and not a means to divide anyone, but unite and spark interesting conversation. Up first is the film See How They Run. If you're looking for some fun escapism from the absolute dogshit agenda-shoveling films that have been spawned this year, See How They Run comes highly recommended. If I were to summarize this movie in a few words, I'd say it's a quirky, breezy whodunit. Starring Sam Rockwell as an inspector in 1950s London, the film follows him and the inexperienced constable played by Saoirse Ronan as they try and solve a murder revolving around the real-life play The Mousetrap by Agatha Christie. Sam Rockwell's Inspector Stoppard is a quiet and jaded detective who goes back and forth between annoyance and admiration for his constable cohort. It's interesting seeing Rockwell play such a quiet character, helping showcase his range from outrageous characters like Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2 and one of his best performances ever as a deranged best friend Billy in Seven Psychopaths. The character allows him to still bring out his trademark wit in a softer, more nuanced form than what I'm typically used to from him. Saoirse Ronan as Constable Stalker brings an innocence and the needed naive nature to a role of a fresh inspector looking to make a name for herself. This is the first time I've seen Saoirse, and she delivers a perfectly charming performance. The rest of the cast is in on the joke too, playing up the dry humor along with our protagonists, and flesh out the ensemble nicely without a single miscast character. The film is shot, paced, and acted like it's a Wes Anderson film, but, well, it's not a Wes Anderson film. Although you'd be forgiven for confusing it for one at first. The style certainly suits the movie, and I suppose that's a testament to Wes's influence in cinema at this point. This film dives into the entertainment industry back in the 50s and does it well, and I've never been fond of films that are about the entertainment industry. Usually, movies like that are just a bunch of actors and directors sniffing their own farts and laughing as we pay to watch them do it. It's why I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Tarantino, who's one of my favorite directors. Movies about movies are just filmmakers giving each other handies, but not with See How They Run. It's gutsy to make a whodunit wrapped around a whodunit, because you have to be damn smart to pull off a story that's about an already classic story. But See How They Run doesn't aspire to be the greatest film ever made or the smartest guy in the room. It seems to know what it is, a fun time with a few hearty laughs and some clever twists. It's not challenging or offensive in any way, but it's also not just okay. It won't be nominated for any awards, but it's the kind of movie that when it's over, you'll nod your head in approval and say, know what? That was pretty good. Pretty fun. Like I said before, it's a quirky, breezy whodunit and comes well recommended for its dry wit and great cast. The next suggestion is a complete 180 from See How They Run. It's a Danish film called Speak No Evil. A movie that is bloody brilliant but will in all likelihood absolutely piss you off. But not in the She-Hulk kind of way. Branded as a psychological thriller horror film, it follows a Danish family consisting of Bjorn, Louise, and Agnes, who befriend a Dutch family while both parties are on vacation in Tuscany. The Dutch family consists of a father, mother, and a little boy who mysteriously never says a word. And after the vacation is over, they reach out to Bjorn and Louise and invite them to their ranch for a weekend. What follows is an unnerving, unsettling series of events, with the Dutch family continually testing the absolute fucking limits of Bjorn and Louise's comfortability and desire not to be rude.
This is for you.
I'm a vegetarian.
I insist.
Bartending, let's go.
With each scenario escalating as the weekend goes on. This movie is where social commentary isn't an annoyance, quite the opposite. The innate desire to not be rude and abide by social norms is something every single person can relate to, and I quickly and firmly place myself in the shoes of our protagonists Bjorn and Louise. As the story goes on, you'll keep asking yourself at what point would you say something, get up and do something, or simply leave? You know in horror films when the girl is running up the stairs instead of out the front door, and you're screaming, "Don't do that"? That's this film, except done all artsy-fartsy. That's a genuine compliment. The film is directed by Christian Taftrup, who's typically an actor but clearly has his own sense of directing style. Blues, purples, and blacks dominate the color palette of the film, bringing a visceral look that is a direct complement and accompaniment to how the film will make you feel. It's a Danish film, but the majority of the movie is filmed in English. Not that that matters, but if subtitles deter you, then it shouldn't here. Although I'm convinced that people who don't like subtitles just can't read fast enough. The film is short and to the point, and the situations the characters find themselves in will make you so uncomfortable you won't realize how engaged you are by the time the credits start rolling. Speak No Evil will absolutely have you talking afterward. Whether you find it brilliant, or it pisses you off, or most likely both, watch it with someone else because I guarantee a discussion will ensue. I highly recommend it, but one more time, fair warning, you're going to feel some sort of way about this one. Last but most certainly not least on my recommendations list is Emily the Criminal, yet another film that's somehow flown under the radar but is absolutely worth checking out. It stars the incredible Aubrey Plaza in the title role, and one that she completely dominates. The story follows Emily, a woman in her 30s who's still trying to pay off her student loan debt, but the opportunities in front of her keep her spinning her wheels instead of making any progress. She eventually falls deeper and deeper into a life of crime, with the intent to use the money to pay off her debts and get out before getting entangled in the mess she's making. Make no mistake, this movie works because Aubrey Plaza is simply fucking fantastic. The story has, as mentioned, social commentary, but not in the ham-fisted nature we typically see. A morality tale about the lengths one might go to pay off debt in a country that relies on its citizens to be in perpetual debt is something the vast majority of people can relate to. Emily the Criminal is, in some ways, Breaking Bad light. It's a lower-stakes crime story, not involving any sort of cartel or drugs, and much like how Walter White made us as an audience question the lengths we'd go to provide for our family, Emily makes us question the lengths we'd go to take care of ourselves. Emily isn't some annoying Mary Sue character either. She's fully fleshed out and three-dimensional, and the writing needs to be given more credit where it's due for making sure all of her attributes are accounted for, unlike most female-led stories of the past few years. Everything she does is built up to, everything she's capable of is given a reason or backstory, and don't seem to just come out of nowhere. She fails and learns, and while the story doesn't really have any likable or redeeming characters, you still want her to succeed, much like we wanted Walter White to succeed. Despite how much of a piece of shit he was by the end, you still couldn't help but pump your fist in the air for him at the finale. Like I said, Aubrey Plaza is fucking phenomenal, and she's just gotten better with time. I remember seeing her in Parks and Rec years ago, and it's crazy to think she's evolved into this kind of actress. The color palette of the film is more blues like Speak No Evil, but with some yellow sheen to give it a gritty but distinguishable look. I thought the pacing was solid and had some really great shots throughout the film. I mean, shit, man, all three of these movie recommendations have fantastic cinematographers behind them. I can't speak highly enough of how all of these movies look. Besides being a writer, I'm a visual artist as well, and god damn do I love me some good-looking movies. All three of these are the shit. If you're a jaded superhero or fantasy film fan and want to see something worth your time, these films come recommended. Ranging from quirky comedy to psychological horror to crime drama, there's bound to be something to cleanse your palate of all the bullshit Disney and Amazon have been shoving down our throats. More positive reviews to come, but for now, check these out if they pique your interest. GG's gents.